I want to thank you for being here for the signing of an executive order for pro-equity contracting in King County. Now, this order supports our transformation from a race and gender neutral contracting program into one that really embraces equity, embraces taking action on our principles, that amplifies the participation of minority and women-owned businesses. This transformation is aligned, fully aligned, with the county's strategic plan for equity and social justice, and with our true north that I've articulated for our administration and county, and with our values. Our true north, what we aspire to be. We are making King County a welcoming community where every person can thrive. Everything we do is to be aimed toward that goal, that true north, that vision. The limitations of Initiative 200, they have not prevented King County from taking actions to make contracting more equitable. You know, over the past 5 years, from 2016 to 2020, we've exceeded participation goals for small contractors and suppliers. That's SCS in our language. And we've managed to award more than $280 million in contracts to those entities. And for the same 5 years, $61 million was awarded to certified small minority businesses, plus $150 million to larger minority-owned businesses, a total of $211 million in contract awards. Now, with this executive order that I will sign here in just a moment, we continue our efforts to remove barriers to county contracting opportunities. We're going to work to ensure that all small businesses are registered in the county's new supplier registration system. So every single business will automatically receive solicitations when we have a contract to let for bids and proposals. And we're going to review our insurance requirements to allow more flexibility. We're not going to require you to have this much insurance for a job where the risk is only this. We want to make sure that we're tailoring it to the job. And similarly, we're going to make our evaluation criteria more tailored to the actual work to be done. For architectural and engineering and professional services proposals, no artificial screens to keep smaller or newer businesses out. For example, rather than require a small firm to have 5 years experience for a job, we would allow a startup that has staff with experience to be eligible to bid on that job. You can see how that would work. You want to start a firm, you hire people who are respected professionals with lots of experience to come to your firm, and under our old rules, your firm would be considered novice, new, not qualified to bid. Well, we can fix that, and we're going to today. This change was suggested, in fact, by focus groups of minority and women-owned firms. We'll also create more opportunities by unbundling contracts in terms of size and scope, by lengthening solicitation times when feasible, so that even if you don't have as much capacity to be able to fill out the paperwork and make the application, you'll still have the time to be able to successfully do it. By requiring monthly departmental reports on contractors' progress in meeting small business and workforce development goals. You know, we will propose making certified Washington State, certified by the state, minority or women-owned businesses automatically qualified as a small contractor or supplier under the county's program. This reciprocal certification, it eliminates redundancy, it improves efficiency, and ensures that every certified business receives the same level of eligibility review. We will continue our innovative procurement methods to increase minority business participation in contracting. Our Small Business Accelerator program permits like-sized small firms to compete against each other for certain contracts. Our updated architecture and engineering consultant rosters for small-scale architecture and engineering contracts enables more small and minority-owned businesses to compete as prime consultants. In 2020, the county used the AE consultation roster on 9 different design contracts for a total of $2.4 million. And of those 9 contracts, 7 of them went to certified small firms for a total of nearly $2 million. We'll use other tools like job order contracting and small public works rosters for small-scale construction projects to enable more small and minority-owned firms to compete as prime contractors. And for large work order construction contracts for urgent on-call construction needs, we are more closely monitoring the work to ensure participation of small and minority contractors. And for procurements under $50,000, we are working to ensure that at least one small, minority-owned, or women-owned business is included in the 3-quote bidding process. We will explore the feasibility of creating a regional disparity study in conjunction with other jurisdictions. We want to know the answer to how this work, this policy intention is actually playing out in the economy and in the community. And these studies document proven disparities in contracting, and they will include recommendations on how we can address these disparities, not just King County, but our partner jurisdictions as well. Given the cost and complexity of the process, I hope to convince those other jurisdictions that have been willing to walk this path with us, like Seattle and the Port of Seattle and Sound Transit, to join us. Now, more recently, I've proposed I sent a COVID recovery budget to the council. They're considering it on the 18th of this month, and I included $25 million specifically for a BIPOC Economic Resiliency Fund. It's part of our allocation of the federal funding, the American Rescue Plan funding. We want to directly center Black and Indigenous communities as they've historically been left out of government-funded economic recovery efforts. We're going to create a community council to determine the right investments to grow economic wealth for BIPOC businesses. And we will continue to provide funding to Tabor 100, to the Tabor 100 Technical Assistance Hub. In 2020, the county provided $100,000 for technical assistance to minority-owned businesses and has committed an additional $50,000 in the coming months. Now, lastly, we're going to continue to invest in job training to connect people to high-demand careers. There is a lot of opportunity in this economy and in this community. And our collective failing has been in not doing all of the things to connect people who've been left behind to the opportunities to do better for their families, to create a more secure future. We're going to be very purposeful, very, very intentional about that. I recently proposed $10 million for a fund to incentivize our community workforce agreements and local priority hire ordinances with our other public sector partners like the county's priority hire zip codes. Our master community workforce agreement reflects our partnership with the building trades, and there is an enormous amount of opportunity in building the infrastructure for the next generation with our building trades to implement priority hiring on construction projects. And do you know what that is? So we identify communities, zip codes where people have been left behind, where there's been less economic activity or opportunity, and we tell contractors, we'll incent you to go and to find people, to hire them, to train them up, to get them apprenticeships, to get them to journey level, to give them a career where they can do better in the future. That opportunity is here for the taking. We need to make that happen. And this year, we're also providing grants of $250,000 each to the Federal Way and the Highline school districts to support their pre-apprentice training programs for construction jobs. So, in sum, King County and the nation, we have to take our principles, our intentions, our stated values, and make them real in people's lives and in the community and in this economy. And that is what we seek to do today. I'm committed to pro-equity contracting and the results that we can achieve working together. And I want to hear from you about other barriers that we have not even yet identified, but that we can take on when we put our minds to it. I think that this is an enormous opportunity, this moment of change and disruption, of converging crises and an awakening to the reality of the impacts of racism embedded in institutions, public and private. This is a chance for us to finally move forward rapidly to change the equation in our community. This executive order is just one step in making that real. So thank you, and it is now my pleasure to introduce to you Fernando Martinez, who is the CEO and the president of Northwest Mountain Minority Supplier Development Council. Fernando.
Executive Constantine, thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you for having me here. I'm going to read a statement that I wrote, and then I'd like to make a couple comments on what Executive Constantine has said, because I think that what he has said brings a lot of trust to what we're trying to do in our community. The Northwest Mountain Minority Supplier Development Council has been active in this region for 43 years. Our mission has always been to engage ethnic minority businesses with both the private and public sectors in fair and equitable contracting. The reason for this is because we understand that by doing business with African American, Latino, Asian, and Native American, Alaska Native businesses, we build up and empower our communities. However, delivery of this mission has been and continues to be a significant challenge. We need support from all entities, such as King County. County Executive Constantine, through issuance of the King County Pro-Equity Contracting Executive Order, has taken a critical step in achieving regional fairness and equity in contracting. The next critical step is execution of the executive order. This will take all of us working together and holding ourselves accountable. The reason this is important and the reason we support King County Pro-Equity Contracting Executive Order is because it sets us on the path towards creating a win-win-win. Minority businesses win, King County wins, and our community wins. We know through our own research that when you include ethnic minority businesses in the procurement process, you create competition, you achieve an average cost savings of 18%, and you average 43% in efficiency growth. Some of our corporate partners have shown even bigger gains. The fair and equitable contracting process, which is now spearheaded through King County Executive Order, will deliver significant value to the county's businesses, communities, and taxpayers. It will lead us towards building a winning community, which ultimately is an empowered community. The thought leadership that Executive Constantine has just spoken to you about, the barriers that he is attempting to break, the gates that people have typically been held back from, is important to our community. It's important to our communities of color. It's important to our community at large. So I want to say thank you to Executive Constantine, and we truly support the pro-equity contracting executive order. Thank you.
On behalf of Tabor 100, I would like to thank Executive Constantine and his entire team and their thoughtful leadership for prioritizing pro-equity contracting in King County. This executive order would take a multi-tier approach in addressing the inequity faced by women and minority-owned businesses. From looking internally to strengthening equity targets and reduce barriers, to increasing outreach and training aimed at amplifying the participation of minority women business enterprises. In contracting and with the work that the JOC contracts provide for the young folks that want to get into the industry. We at Tabor 100 appreciate our continued partnership with the county and are looking forward to the implementation of this order. Thank you again, Executive Constantine, for your commitment to economic power for all of the residents of King County. And with that, I want to bring up Ronnie.
Good afternoon. My name is Rodney Taylor. I'm with the Black Coalition of Contractors and Professionals. It's my honor and privilege to be here with people who are purpose-driven and community-minded. It's very important at this time. Today marks a day that could be summed up with one word, in my opinion, and that's opportunity. There have been many comments and quotes about opportunity. MacArthur made one that sticks with me the most. It says, even when opportunity knocks, one still has to get up off their seat and open the door. In essence, that means that the opportunity in itself is just a beginning or a call to action that's needed for opportunity to achieve its purpose. The purpose here is to repair and restore Black and minority communities who have been shut out of pro-equity contracting on many levels. Many of us here have labored tirelessly to prepare for this opportunity. Tabor 100, NAMAC, to name another. These are people that have been in for the front lines for a long time and sacrificed time and resources to uplift the Black and minority communities, to gain equity in lending and fair opportunities to build and scale businesses so they can become successful. The BCCAP looks to join this pursuit of equity in public and private contract procurement. The Black Coalition of Contractors and Professionals were very proud and hopeful of the action taken by Dow Constantine and his office. And we'd like to thank you very much, Mr. Constantine, for being a man of action. We've heard a lot of stuff over the years. Executive Constantine and his staff understand the brevity of the challenge in front of us. They were willing to get up and open the door and make the political investment to personally serve our community. I'd like to thank you and your staff because they support you and your policies. Even with this being like a year of election cycle, I think it's very important for you to know, regardless of that who supports you and who's on your team. And we recognize very clearly that the office of Mr. Constantine is on the side of Black and minority contracting, and they've made it very clear. This executive order is opportunity knocking, and it's up to us to get up now and open the door, start, build, and scale some businesses, teach these skills to succeed to the rest of our community and our youth, teach entrepreneurship, philanthropy, and volunteerism, and then watch us fix us. They've given us an opportunity. Watch us, help us. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Executive Constantine, and we appreciate this offer.
So as I mentioned earlier on, I really set forth for our government the vision and the mission, the true north, that this will be a community where all of us are welcome and where every person will have the opportunity to thrive. Now, unlike many other places in the nation, we actually have the resources to make that real. I don't mean the county government. I mean this community, this economy. The people support that idea, but we have to be clear-eyed about the barriers, the impediments to everyone being able to participate and share their value with the community. And one of the ways in which we can tear down those barriers is by helping, by incenting, by creating pathways for Black and brown, indigenous, and Asian minority-owned businesses to be able to grow and thrive, to hire and be able to compete for bigger and bigger contracts in the public and private sector. And it is an opportunity that we do not have to create from scratch. All this construction business, all the design business, all of the consulting business is out there to be had. Do you know that in this county alone, between Sound Transit, county, and other public projects, there's over $100 billion in construction, public sector construction, in the pipeline, already funded, queued up. If new women and minority-owned businesses were able to have just a fraction of that, imagine the amount of growth that could happen in those businesses and in those communities. So we're trying to be really purposeful about that, not just casting it out there and saying, here's opportunity, but how do we focus on removing the barriers so that we can really allow people to leverage that opportunity and to create that community I described at the start, the one where every person has the opportunity to thrive. That's why I'm excited. We have people who are much better with the technical details, like Ken Guy, who understands how to construct the programs along with his staff. But they know what I want to achieve. I want to open the doors of opportunity to every single person in King County. Thank you for your work, Ken. Really. Thank you, sir.
My proof.
Thank you,
Thank
Ollie,
you.
for having me.